Okay, this is workshop number 4, and we're manipulating data in Excel and a bit of cash budgets. Last time we looked at cash budgets. Now, as you notice, we're progressing and we know more and more and more. And so what will happen is you start creating these spreadsheets. That is a lot of information, and you might just want to clean them up, and you might just want to maybe put in a few formulas that will make things easier. So in this session, we're going to look at inserting functions in a spreadsheet that make things a lot more easier. And we're also going to look at applying things like rounding, round up, sum, and SUMIF. And Mubina will explain to you how these can be very useful when you're looking at your data. Now remember, your assignment will need something like this as well. And the last one is to be able to construct a cash budget incorporating credit sales. In the last session, we saw where we were looking at credit sales, but we're going to go into a bit more detail today. And so you should be able to have a toolkit that will equip you when you're thinking, oh, I need to do this in Excel. And then you just look at the formulas, and then you can insert a function, and then you use it. So again, pay attention. And if you don't understand anything, just rewind, pause, or you could ask us in the lab sessions. Okay.
Okay, thanks Michael. Now I'm going to show you some examples of some of the functions that you can do in terms of formulas. So we're starting by looking at sums. You may have remembered something Michael did last week when he was showing you the cash budgets, and he did use a sum function, but I will just show you again just to refresh your memories. So when you have a series of numbers either going across horizontally or down vertically, you can use a quick sum function. Again, in Excel, there's a few ways of doing it. I'll show you a couple. One of them is to click in the cell below the list of numbers that you want to total up, and you can use in your ribbon this auto sum function. If you left click on that, it highlights the range of cells that is going to total up. So it's showing you A3 to A5, so it's those within that box. If you click enter, it totals and gives you a sum. The other way you can do it, again, click in a cell below the list of cells that you want to sum, and you can use this function, insert function. If you click on there, it gives you a range of different functions that are available within Excel. So if I click on sum and OK, it automatically chooses the range that it sees as what you may be asking for. So yes, I want C3 to C5. Click OK, and it's giving you a sum of the 3 cells. Final way you could do it is you can type in equals sum, and then you open your brackets, and then you click with your mouse, left-hand button, highlight the first cell, drag it down while you're still holding down the button, all the cells in the range that you want to have a sum of, and then finish the formula by closing your brackets, so shift and 0. Oops, I've lost one of my cells, so all I need to do is take my mouse, take it to the bottom right-hand corner, drag it down. So I'm now highlighting E3 to E5. If I press enter, it gives me a sum. So that was 3 ways of doing the same function. So that's sum. Now I'm going to show you how you use the round function. With this, it will either round up or down for you. You should know that anything that is below 0.5 will be rounded down, and anything above 0.5 will be rounded up. I highlight in cell A7, and I want Excel to either round it up or down. I use the button here, insert function, and it brings up a range of different functions that are within this facility. So I'm going to highlight round, click on it, click OK, and it's saying which cell do I want it to pick the information from. So I want it to use the total that's in A6, and how many digits do I want it to round. So I want it to 0 decimal places, click OK, and it has now rounded what was in A6, which was 16.4, so it's rounded it to 16. If, for example, we had 17.6, let's just test whether it will round it up. So again, same thing, use your function, find the round, it's already highlighted. I click OK. Which cell do I want it to round? Well, I want it to round this one, I want it to 0 decimal places. Click OK, and it's rounded 17.6 to 18. Again, if you're working in industry and you want the Excel to be able to quickly, by just a click of a button, round up or down whatever variables that you've got, it can do it in just a matter of seconds. Similarly, you can do rounding up, so where you're saying that you just always want it to round up. And you might use this function in the real world when you're looking at, say, the number of staff that you might need, because you can't round down. If you need, say, for example, this one that you've got staff required per day, it's looking at the number of customers and it's doing a calculation to say, well, how many staff do we need to serve the customers? So if it's saying you need 1.3 staff, well, that means you need 2 staff because you can't have 1 1/3 of a person. So in this case, you'd want the system that you use to always round it up. So this time, the information is going horizontally. So I'll click in the cell that's just after E9, go to my function. If I can't see round up within here, which I can't, I'll go to this box, type in, I'll just delete the wording first, type in round up, and enter, and now it's found what's similar, so I click on round up, click OK, and it's brought out the box where I just need to put in my instructions. So which cell do I want it to take the data from? Well, it's E9, so click in E9. How many digits do I want? I want 0 decimal places because you can't have half a person. Click on OK, and it's now saying when it's looked in E9 it's 7.27, so it automatically by default will round it up. Even though the point is below 5, it will round it up, so I would need 8 members of staff. So that's how you would use the round up function. The very last one I want to show you is SUMIF. SUMIF is a little bit more complicated, but again, a very powerful and useful tool. Easiest way for me to explain is by showing you an actual example. So here in this table, a lot of information, so let me just talk you through what we've got. In the first column, you've got different types of cost. So you can straight away imagine that you're probably in some kind of accounts department and you're looking at the different types of costs that this business must have. So you've got staff costs, other costs, machine costs, so there's a variety of costs. Within the detail column, you've got different coding that sort of filter off from the original type of cost type. And then along you've got each month and it's given you the actual cost for that particular type of cost. Now at the bottom of this table you've got a row here that's saying staff costs, and again it's got the months going across the bottom, and so we want to be able to fill in these cells that are below each month, but only with the data that relates to staff cost. So it's almost like we're going to be doing a search function, but then we want Excel to search and then find the data that relates to it and for it to enter it automatically. So we are going to be looking for the wording staff cost within here. When it finds it, then we want it to pick up the data that's in the row. So we click in the cell where we want the data to go in, which is here underneath January. Click on the function and we're going to look for SUMIF. We want it to make a sum if it follows the criteria that we're going to set. So click OK, and you've got this dialog box with 3 boxes that we have to fill in. The first one is the range. So what are we telling Excel? Well, we want Excel to look within the range of these cells. So I've highlighted and I need to go just one more down. I've lost it. So again, no problem. Take your mouse, left click and drag it all the way down so you cover the full range of your data, like so. So it's saying we want it to look within the range of B5 to B20. The criteria we're looking for, well, the criteria is the wording staff cost. So when Excel looks in this range and sees the word staff cost, What do we want it to do? Well, we want it to pick up the range of data and add it and produce it as a sum. So we want it to look in this column. So we will highlight all the data within January. So again, left click, drag it down and highlight it, and it puts the information into the box. Click OK, and you can see now that Excel has said in January the number of staff costs that appeared totaled 19,500. If you wanted to check, you could have a look, and you can see, and I will use the control button just to highlight. So control, and I'm going to just highlight everywhere that I can see the wording staff cost. And you could, because this table is small, if you were working somewhere and you had hundreds of rows, you wouldn't be able to do this because it would take you a long time. But if you were to add these figures up, they will add up to 19,500. Okay, so similarly, we're now going to fill in the variable overhead figure. So again, click in the cell where you want the answer to appear. So for January, we want to know the variable overheads. So again, click on your insert function key. SUMIF is already highlighted. Click OK. Fill in the range. Well, again, we are still looking in the same data range. So highlight from B5 all the way down to B20. Our criteria is we want Excel to look for the wording variable overhead, and our sum range is within January, and we're looking in here. Click OK or click Enter, and it's found the total of 1,600. Again, if you look, you've only got, if I hold down the control, you've got 1,500 there, and we have, oops, I've lost it, 100 there. So you can see it does add up to 1,600, and if you look, that's what Excel has found. So you can see it does work. You can test it out yourself, play around with figures, but the more you play around and test out Excel, you'll remember a lot more. So have a go.